Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Check it out now, the Funk Soul Brother. Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Check it out now, the Funk Soul Brother. Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Check it out now, the Funk Soul Brother. Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Right about now, about now, about now, about now.
What is poppin', y'all? It's your man, Cloud Boy Bales, and welcome to another episode of Wisco Sports Weekly Wednesday Predictions. It's your man, Cloud Boy Bales, and obviously, we're here once again just to be able to do another video where we give out predictions. Week 14. We are to that point of the season. I mean, it's December already. We're getting into the nitty-gritty. Teams are starting to trend upward. Teams are starting to trend downward. But a lot of teams that have made the playoffs in the past, struggling. We've seen that this season. A lot of new teams trying to enter into this new predicament. I am beyond perplexed what is going to happen. But obviously, we have time to tell. 5 more weeks of regular season football. And then we got the playoffs. This is the final bye week. The teams on bye this week are the Arizona Cardinals and the Washington Commanders. And if you like what you see, subscribe below, comment with your thoughts, and as always, anyways, it's going to be a good time. But anyways, let's just get on to it. I'm getting a little over myself today. First game is unfortunately a game that I feel like no one is going to watch only because it is the Patriots versus the Steelers. The Patriots have pretty much given up hope. At this point, I'm very confident they're drafting a quarterback this year. There is no way they're not. I don't know how they won't. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, Kenny Pickett is not going to play in this game, so it's going to be Bailey Zappi versus Mitch Trubisky. What a fun quarterback matchup that is. But yet again, Pittsburgh in primetime always delivers, so yes, I'm going to take the Steelers in a defensive juggernaut win. I mean, it's kind of routine at this point. Going on to Sunday, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta won in the first matchup against these two teams. And that game was played without Bijan Robinson being even injured. They just didn't even play him. Well, in my eyes, I think they'll play him. And if I had to pick again, I guess I'm just going to say Atlanta, even though they are right now winning the division. I guess anyone could really win the division this year. If I had to pick, I'm just going to say Atlanta wins. Next, Detroit Lions at Chicago Bears. Detroit won the first matchup against these two. I'd say Chicago has looked a lot more promising. Almost beating Detroit 2 weeks ago, then beating Minnesota. I feel like they're starting to really play with a lot of poise because I think they know deep down they can win games. And here, I'll say Detroit wins a very close game once again, but it wouldn't be surprising if Chicago knocked out a win here. I think this will be another close game. Next up, we have the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. Both promising wins. I mean, Indianapolis and Cincinnati are both regarded as teams that really shouldn't be in there, but Indianapolis would right now get a playoff spot, and Cincinnati, Jake Browning literally looked like Tom Brady out there last 2 nights ago. Very tough matchup, but if I had to pick, I'm gonna say the Colts get the victory here. Next up, Jacksonville Jaguars at Cleveland Browns. Tough news for Jaguars fans. Trevor Lawrence went down with an injury, a high ankle sprain. Don't know when he will be back, but might be some time. So it's going to be CJ Beathard taking on Joe Flacco. Fun quarterback matchup again. But anyways, literally, we have New England versus Pittsburgh. That's a terrible matchup. Tampa Bay versus Atlanta, terrible quarterback matchup. Now, Indianapolis and Cincinnati, terrible quarterback matchup. Jacksonville versus Cleveland, terrible quarterback matchup. I don't really know who to pick here. I guess if I'll just pick, I'll go with the better defense and say Cleveland gets the win here. Next up, Carolina Panthers at the New Orleans Saints. Another terrible matchup, but yet again, I don't see how Carolina's going to win another game this season. I just don't see it happening. It's just Carolina just doesn't look that promising at all. I'll say New Orleans with their maybe Jameis Winston can definitely spark them. Obviously, Derek Carr is on concussion protocol. Maybe New Orleans will get a spark with Jameis Winston instead. Next up, Houston Texans at the New York Jets. Texans, looking at CJ Stroud, he's really putting on a show. Definitely, he's going to be Rookie of the Year. There's no doubt in my mind. The way Jets are losing at games in such horrible fashion. Their defense is the only thing carrying them, and their offense is so bad they just keep relying. And now they're like, oh, let's have Zach Wilson come back in there again. And Zach Wilson's like, nope. Yeah, good for you, Zach Wilson. Honestly, they've been screwing him over. I really feel bad for the guy. They cut Tim Boyle. They signed someone else. They really don't know what they're doing. Aaron Rodgers will not be back this season. The Jets will not win another game. I think it's official at this point. I'll take the Houston Texans. Next up, Los Angeles Rams taking on the Baltimore Ravens. That's a tough one. Rams have been playing really good as of lately, and I think Baltimore is a Super Bowl contender. I don't know who to pick here. If I had to pick between the two, I'm just going to take Baltimore. Next up, Minnesota at the Las Vegas Raiders. Minnesota with a very embarrassing loss last time. They had a bye week. Now Justin Jefferson's finally back, which is good for them. They need him. I don't know what they're going to do at quarterback. My assumption is they will probably stick with Dobbs unless he has another bad performance. They still, they have Jaron Hall and Nick Mullins. So I don't know if one of those two guys will get into the game action, but I think Minnesota is going to win here. They definitely need a win to get themselves back on track since they are in a playoff position. Next up, Seattle Seahawks at the San Francisco 49ers. San Fran definitely destroyed Seattle the first time around. I don't see anything different here. Definitely San Francisco should get the win here. Next up, Buffalo Bills at Kansas City. Buffalo is a 500 team, and right now they're out of the playoffs. It's crazy enough to just think about it, but now Kansas City, after losing to Green Bay, I just don't see them driving back-to-back losses, especially at home. Buffalo, even though Buffalo got that revenge game last year, I just think Buffalo's been playing really terrible as of lately. I think Kansas City's going to walk out with the dub. Next up, Denver Broncos at the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers are the biggest chokers of the NFL. They literally won a game 6-0 last week, but realistically, that just doesn't cut it for me. They ain't going nowhere. Denver finally lost a game too. They had a 5-game win streak and they finally lost a game. Russell Wilson didn't have his greatest performance, but I think Denver's going to get back on track with a win against the Chargers. Sunday Night Football, we got the best rivalry in football with the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Philly really struggled against San Fran. We finally saw that Philly is vulnerable, as I have said. But this honestly was one of the worst performances I've seen. Maybe Philly gets themselves back on track here with some wins. I definitely could see it happening. Dallas, however, has been looking really hot. If I had to pick, I say Dak Prescott is our MVP this season right now. Honestly, we have still a bunch of weeks left to go, but anything could happen. I'm going to pick the Dallas Cowboys to win and have the advantage over the division. And going on to Monday, 2 Monday Night Football games again. First off, we have the Tennessee Titans taking on the Miami Dolphins. Miami right now has sole possession of the 1 seed. Tennessee's just been really struggling, even whoever starts at quarterback. Miami, I feel like, has been doing good enough to win games against bad teams. Tyreek Hill's he's just having such a phenomenal season. Honestly, I'd have him as MVP. I know they always have quarterbacks, but I see Tyreek Hill is a reason why Miami's good. And I'll be secret, he's a reason why the Chiefs were good. But you know what? Anything I can say, you could disagree. That's the whole point of sports. And then finally, the Green Bay Packers taking on the New York Giants. Both these teams were so bad, everyone thought they were going to tank and go all in for something else. Even the Giants go for quarterback. But Tommy DeVito's been playing really well as of lately for the Giants. And Green Bay Jordan Love has been turned the switch and looks like it. I don't know what happened. I mean, it's been interesting, but if I had to pick between the two, every time I've said Green Bay's going to win, they lose. I'm afraid to say it, and then they're going to go on a losing streak or something. If I had to pick, I guess I'm just going to say Green Bay. They should beat the Giants. I don't see how they won't. But that's that. So if you like what you see, comment below, subscribe with the thoughts, and as always, we will see you next time.